Marilyn Monroe. That face belonged to a girl named Norma Jean. Marilyn Monroe became Hollywood's ultimate it girl, playful, vulnerable, and impossibly glamorous. Born in Los Angeles in 1926, she spent her childhood in foster homes, always searching for a place to belong. By her early 20s, she was modeling, and the camera adored her. In December 1950, she signed a new 7-year deal with 20th Century Fox. She'd used the name Marilyn Monroe on screen for years before making it legal in 1956. Within a few years, she was everywhere. Gentlemen prefer blondes, the 7-year itch, some like it hot. Every role made her shine brighter. Her screen presence balanced humor and heartbreak, innocence and seduction. Off-screen, she battled insomnia, anxiety, and the weight of being everyone's fantasy. She married 3 times: James Doherty, Joe DiMaggio, Arthur Miller. Each relationship public, passionate, and painful. She once said, "Hollywood's a place where they'll pay you $1,000 for a kiss and 50 cents for your soul." It wasn't a line, it was her truth. By the early 1960s, the cracks were showing. She arrived late to sets, forgot lines, leaned harder on pills. The same fame that made her glow was consuming her. On August 5, 1962, Marilyn's life ended in her Brentwood home. She was 36. The coroner ruled a probable suicide. Over 60 years later, her image still defines an era. The platinum hair, the red lips, the white dress billowing over a subway grate. She once said, "I just want to be wonderful." And she was. So much so that the world never stopped watching. But even as the cameras mourned her, Hollywood was already searching for its next miracle. Another blonde, another fantasy, another woman asked to smile through the spotlight. Jayne Mansfield. Enter Jayne Mansfield, Hollywood's most self-aware bombshell. Part joke, part genius, entirely unforgettable. Born Vera Jane Palmer in 1933 in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, she grew up dreaming of stardom. Reportedly fluent in 5 languages, trained in classical music, fearless about standing out, she knew how to play the game. When Marilyn dominated the 1950s, studios went looking for another like her, and found Jayne. Her breakout in The Girl Can't Help It made her a sensation. Then, Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter? A satire of fame that proved she was in on the joke. She wasn't just the next Marilyn. She was the only Jayne Mansfield. She leaned into the blonde persona. Pink dresses, diamonds, baby voice and all. But underneath was pure calculation. She once said, "A 41-inch bust and a lot of perseverance will get you more than a cup of coffee. A lot more." People called it vanity. It was strategy. Jayne turned herself into a brand before that word existed. Behind the spotlight, her life was chaotic. 3 marriages, 5 children, relentless tabloids. The attention never stopped, and neither did she. On June 29, 1967, Jayne was killed in a car accident on a Louisiana highway. She was 34. 3 of her children, including future actress Mariska Hargitay, survived asleep in the back seat. The news shocked Hollywood. Another blonde bombshell gone too soon. Over time, her image became legend. Jayne Mansfield knew exactly what she was doing, and that's what made her iconic. But tragedy didn't end with her. Only 2 years later, a new kind of star would shine. Softer, dreamier, and caught in one of Hollywood's darkest nights. Sharon Tate. Sharon Tate was the golden girl of 1960s Hollywood. Radiant, gentle, and full of promise. Born in Dallas, Texas in 1943, she grew up constantly on the move as the daughter of an army officer. Her childhood stretched across Europe and America, but the spotlight always seemed to find her. By her late teens, she was modeling, then acting, slowly, steadily working her way into film. Her debut came in Eye of the Devil in 1966, and soon after, Valley of the Dolls made her a household name. The camera adored her. Soft features, a calm presence, a quiet magnetism. She earned a Golden Globe nomination and a reputation for being both graceful and grounded. In 1968, Sharon married director Roman Polanski. They were young, glamorous, and effortlessly in love, the kind of couple magazines worshipped. By the summer of 1969, she was 8 months pregnant with their first child. They settled in a house on Cielo Drive, just above Los Angeles. Then came August 9th. Members of the Manson family broke into the home. What followed became one of the darkest chapters in Hollywood history. Sharon Tate and 4 others were murdered. She was 26. The world was horrified. Her death shattered the illusion of Hollywood's innocence and marked the end of an era. The dream had turned into a nightmare. But Sharon Tate's legacy isn't the crime, it's the light she carried. Friends remembered her as kind, soft-spoken, and endlessly compassionate. Even now, her name feels frozen in time, forever young, forever luminous. But while Hollywood mourned, New York had its own it-girl, one who burned twice as fast and disappeared just as suddenly. Edie Sedgwick. Edie Sedgwick was the girl who burned too bright for her time. A socialite, a muse, and the face of New York's underground. Born in Santa Barbara, California in 1943, she came from a wealthy family shadowed by instability. Her childhood was beautiful on the surface, but underneath, silence, control, and pain. At 21, she fled to New York City, chasing freedom, art, and escape. There, she met Andy Warhol, and everything changed. He filmed her, photographed her, and turned her into his living artwork. She starred in Poor Little Rich Girl, Vinyl, Beauty No. 2, always playing some version of herself. With her silver hair, black tights, and chandelier earrings, Edie became the ultimate factory girl. For a moment, she was everywhere. Designers adored her. Magazines worshipped her. She made brokenness look beautiful. But fame in Warhol's world was temporary. Behind the glitter was addiction, loneliness, and mental illness. By 1966, her friendship with Warhol had ended, and the art scene she helped create had left her behind. She drifted between hospitals and hotel rooms, trying to find her footing again. In 1971, she married Michael Post, hoping for a new start. But that November, she died from a barbiturate overdose, just 4 months after her wedding. She was only 28. Edie Sedgwick became a symbol of fleeting fame, the girl who defined an era and lost herself inside it. Her look still echoes through fashion and film. Every smoky eye, every messy pixie cut, every it-girl who burns out too soon carries a trace of Edie. And just a decade later, fashion would find another beautiful rebel, one who took over the runways and then vanished before the world could save her. Gia Karanji. Gia Karanji was fashion's wild child, the first real supermodel before the world even had a word for it. Born in Philadelphia in 1960, she grew up surrounded by chaos. Her parents fought constantly, and when they separated, Gia was left craving connection. She found it in the camera. By 18, she was in New York City, signed to Wilhelmina Models. Her presence was electric, raw, emotional, unfiltered. She didn't pose, she felt. In front of the lens, she was both fragile and fierce. Beauty that couldn't be staged. Within a year, Gia was everywhere. Vogue, Cosmopolitan, Versace campaigns, Paris runways. She redefined what a model could be. Imperfect, intense, alive. But behind the flashbulbs, her world was unraveling. The death of her mentor, Wilhelmina Cooper, hit her hard. Drugs filled the void. Her addiction grew, and the industry that once adored her began to close its doors. She missed shoots, lost contracts, disappeared for months. By the mid-1980s, Gia was gone from fashion altogether. She tried to get clean. She tried to start over. By 1986, she was diagnosed with AIDS. She spent her final years quietly in Philadelphia, cared for by her mother. Gia Karanji died on November 18, 1986. She was 26. Her death barely made the papers. Fashion had already moved on. But history didn't forget her. Her photos resurfaced. Her story was retold. Gia showed the world that beauty could be wild, damaged, and still unforgettable. And as the cameras turned to royalty, one woman would redefine fame not as rebellion, but as compassion. Princess Diana. Princess Diana was the most photographed woman in the world. Elegant, emotional, and endlessly human. Born Diana Spencer in 1961, she grew up on an English estate surrounded by formality and distance. At 20, she married Prince Charles, and the royal wedding became a global spectacle. 750 million people watched her walk down the aisle. Overnight, she became the people's princess. The world adored her beauty, her warmth, her vulnerability. But behind palace walls, the fairy tale unraveled. She struggled with isolation, scrutiny, and a marriage that was breaking in plain sight. Diana transformed that pain into purpose. She used her fame to draw attention to what others ignored: AIDS patients, landmine victims, forgotten charities. She turned empathy into power. By the mid-1990s, every move she made became tabloid currency. She once said, "The biggest disease in the world today is the disease of people feeling unloved." That was her quiet rebellion, leading with compassion in a world obsessed with perfection. On August 31st, 1997, Diana was killed in a car crash in Paris while being chased by paparazzi. She was 36. The news stopped time. Crowds filled the streets, blanketing Kensington Palace in flowers. Diana's death changed the relationship between fame and privacy forever. Even decades later, her impact hasn't faded, it's evolved. She didn't just live in history, she rewrote what it means to be seen. And after her, a new generation of women would rise. Artists who ruled through sound instead of titles, blending elegance with edge and confidence with grace. Aaliyah Dana Houghton was grace in motion. Smooth, mysterious, and effortlessly cool. Born in Brooklyn in 1979 and raised in Detroit, she grew up surrounded by music. By 12, she was already signed to a record label. By 15, she had changed R&B forever. Her debut, Age Ain't Nothin' But a Number, introduced her soft, controlled vocals and calm confidence. Then came One in a Million in 1996, produced by Timbaland and Missy Elliott. Futuristic beats wrapped around angelic melodies. It sounded like nothing else at the time. Aaliyah didn't shout for attention. She drew it. Her voice floated, silk over steel. Her style was the same. Oversized pants, sunglasses, quiet authority. She once said she wanted to be known for being real, and she was. By the early 2000s, she was everywhere. Films like Romeo Must Die and Queen of the Damned, a third album debuting at number 2 on Billboard. She was just 22, confident, accomplished, and fully in her prime. On August 25, 2001, Aaliyah boarded a small plane after filming the video for Rock the Boat in the Bahamas. Minutes after takeoff, the plane crashed. All 9 people on board were killed. The aircraft had been overloaded. Fans lit candles outside her label offices. Radio stations played her songs non-stop. Time seemed to freeze. The future she was building, suddenly gone. But Aaliyah's influence never faded. She made quiet power iconic. Even now, her sound still feels ahead of its time. And just 4 years later, another voice would rise. Louder, rougher, honest to the bone. A woman who turned heartbreak itself into an instrument. Amy Winehouse. Amy Winehouse had a voice that didn't just sing, it confessed. Born in North London in 1983, she grew up surrounded by jazz. Her father sang Sinatra, her mother filled the house with Motown. By 19, Amy released her debut album Frank. Witty, raw, and unfiltered. But in 2006, everything changed. Back to Black made her a global icon. The sound was vintage Motown reimagined. Live horns, deep bass, lyrics that cut like diary entries. Rehab, You Know I'm No Good, Tears Dry on Their Own. Heartbreak disguised as defiance. She didn't chase perfection. She chased truth. And the world couldn't look away. Her look was instantly recognizable. The beehive hair, the winged eyeliner, the tattoos. She is believed to have said, "I write songs because I'm messed up in my head." People loved her because she never hid the mess. But fame became a mirror she couldn't escape. The tabloids stalked her every move. Her addiction, her heartbreak, her marriage to Blake Fielder Civil. Behind closed doors, she was unraveling. On July 23, 2011, Amy Winehouse was discovered in her London flat. The coroner ruled alcohol poisoning. She was 27. Her name joined the 27 Club, artists who burned too brightly to last. Even now, her voice still feels alive, raw, soulful, impossibly sincere. She didn't sing to impress, she sang to survive. And in doing so, she became timeless. Anna Nicole Smith. Anna Nicole Smith was a 1990s fantasy, part Marilyn Monroe, part Media Circus, and entirely unforgettable. Born Vicki Lynn Hogan in Houston in 1967, she grew up far from fame. She dropped out of high school, waited tables, and dreamed of being someone the world would remember. In 1993, Playboy named her Playmate of the Year. Overnight, Vicki Lynn became Anna Nicole. The name, the image, the myth. She fronted Guess Jeans ads with platinum hair, red lipstick, and curves that looked painted for flashbulbs. She wasn't subtle, and that was her power, but fame has a cost. In 1994, she married J. Howard Marshall, an 89-year-old oil billionaire. She was 26. The marriage triggered outrage, tabloid obsession, and a decade of courtrooms. When he died a year later, she was left to fight for her reputation and his fortune. By the 2000s, Anna turned her chaos into television. The Anna Nicole Show made her a household name again. Messy, funny, heartbreakingly human. Behind the laughter was a woman drowning in grief and pills. In 2006, her 20-year-old son Daniel died from a drug overdose just days after she gave birth to her daughter Danny Lynn. 5 months later, on February 8, 2007, Anna Nicole Smith was discovered in a Florida hotel. Accidental overdose. She was 39. The headlines were cruel, as they always had been. She often said all she ever wanted was to be loved, not for her image, but for who she really was. And maybe that's the truest thing about her. While the tabloids chased tragedy, another young woman was building a different kind of empire, one powered by music, family, and faith. Selena Quintanilla. Selena Quintanilla Perez wasn't just a singer. She was a movement. Born in Texas in 1971, she started performing before she could spell her own name. Her father, Abraham, saw her gift early and built a family band, Selena y Los Dinos. Through the 1980s, she conquered the Tejano scene, a space ruled by men. Her voice was pure sunlight. By her early 20s, she was a star across Latin America. Her 1992 album, Entre a mi Mundo, exploded, and Amor Prohibido made her a household name. At the 1994 Grammys, she became the first Tejano artist to win Best Mexican American Album. She was 23, already designing her own clothes and planning a crossover into English pop. Then came March 31st, 1995. Selena was shot and killed in Corpus Christi by Yolanda Saldivar, the president of her fan club. She died at 23. The news broke hearts around the world. Fans filled the streets with candles and music. Just months later, her album, Dreaming of You, debuted at #1, making her the first Latin solo artist to debut atop the Billboard 200. Selena proved that authenticity transcends language. She wasn't just beloved, she was transformative. She once said, "The impossible is always possible," and somehow, even in death, she proved it. As the century turned, a new kind of it girl took the stage, one who radiated warmth, humor, and vulnerability in an era obsessed with perfection. Brittany Murphy. Brittany Murphy had the kind of energy that made every scene brighter. Born in Atlanta in 1977, she was raised by her mother Sharon, who believed in her completely. At 13, they moved to Los Angeles so she could chase her dream. Her breakout role came in 1995 with Clueless. She played Ty, the shy new girl who stole the audience's heart. That performance made her a star overnight. After Clueless, she showed her range in Girl Interrupted, 8 Mile, and Uptown Girls. Funny, fragile, fearless, sometimes all in one breath. But Hollywood's pressure was relentless. She faced rumors about her weight, her health, her relationships. She once said she just wanted to be taken seriously. And for a while, she was, until the headlines stopped talking about her work. In 2007, she married screenwriter Simon Monjack, and the two retreated from public life. Then, in December 2009, everything changed. Brittany collapsed at home. She was pronounced dead that morning. Pneumonia, anemia, and prescription medication complications. She was 32. 5 months later, her husband died the same way, in the same house. The mystery deepened. Her final completed film, Something Wicked, was released posthumously in 2014. Those who knew her remembered something else. Not the tragedy, but the light. She was kind, generous, full of nervous excitement about life. She once said, "I'd rather be true to myself than try to fit in." And she was, even when the world stopped understanding her. Fame gave them everything except time. But even in their absence, their light still lingers. Proof that beauty, art, and impact never really die. If you want to keep exploring the women who shaped culture, subscribe to my channel, where every legend still has a story to tell.